What is up, Landry Williams? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And I would love to ask you the question I ask everyone on the podcast. So, Landry, what are you all about right now?
I would definitely say right now I am all about just trusting the Lord and a lot of unknown just in the season of life that I'm in, and just some circumstances that I'm dealing with, which I'm sure we'll get to later. But that has been my big thing, is really just surrendering right now every aspect of my life to the Lord, because I'm just in the midst of a lot of unknown. So I would definitely say throughout my day-to-day, every day, that's what I'm all about right now. So yeah.
Good. Well, that's a very hard thing to be all about, but it's also it's like the goal, right? Like that's what we want to be all about. So yeah. I love that. And I'm going to be cheering you on in that, and we'll definitely get to all those unknowns. But something that is known and that I knew just from doing a little social media stalk on you is that you are engaged. So congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
To another OSU basketball player, Connor Dow. So just how did this all go down? What's y'all's story?
Yeah, I'll give you the summarized version because he gets annoyed sometimes because I'm a very detailed storyteller. But
that's why you do a podcast, okay? Yeah. That's what this is for.
Literally. The best way to put it is that it was totally just a God thing. Both of our brothers, we have younger brothers, and they played AAU basketball together probably for like 4 or 5 years leading up to when we met, which was in 2022. And so my dad was the coach, and like our families knew each other, but I just honestly never really knew that like he existed. Not in a rude way, but just I really didn't know. And so it was right after I transferred to Oklahoma State, and I just like with my past and everything, I really had felt after spending some time embracing singleness or whatever you want to call it, I really felt like the Lord put on my heart that I felt ready for my husband. But I was very adamant about, I do not want to waste my time. I don't want to like date in this culture that the world has created. Like, I want my husband and that's it, and I don't want anybody else. And so if it's not him, then like, I don't want it. And I was driving back to watch my brother play in like a little high school team camp summer league thing in the summer, and I just like prayed and I surrendered. Long story short, I had a lot of standards that I wanted like for my future husband, but I was being very picky, I would say. Like, oh, I want them to be this tall, and I want them to do this, and I really felt the Lord kind of convict me and be like, if you say that you trust me, then why do you not trust that like who I have is going to be perfect for you? And I was just really forcing the issue. And so I literally prayed and I surrendered on my drive, and I was like, you know what? I want who you have for me. It was kind of scary, but I was like, I want who you have for me, and whoever it is, I need it to be a clear-cut sign, because I struggle with discernment sometimes. So
but that's okay. And you asked, and you were like, I know my weakness.
Yeah, I do. I knew it. So I was like, just give me a very clear cut sign. And I literally walked into the gym, and my brother was playing on one court, and then Connor was on the next one. And he just like caught my eye because he was a good shooter. And I was like, who is that boy? And everyone was
She's just a baller. She's just a baller at heart. You were like, man, that's a great form.
I was like, oh, no, literally. I'm a shooter too. So I was like, who is that? And one of the moms on my brother's team was like, oh, that's Corbin's brother, because I knew who his brother was and I knew who his family was. And I was like, oh, like, okay. And I literally like didn't think anything else of it. I was just like, oh, okay. And for the next 2 days nonstop, I could not stop thinking about him. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but that it was like a total God thing. And God just kept putting it on my heart, like, you just have to say something. And I'm not gonna lie, my pride was a little big because I'm a sophomore in college at this point. He's a senior in high school.
Okay.
So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, no. And God just kept like prominently putting it on my heart. And so finally I prayed, if you want me to reach out to him, then give me a way, because I'm not about to just like slide into his DMs out of nowhere or something. Yeah. I'm not doing that. It's not me. And literally he posted a little highlight reel on his story. So I slid up and I put 2 goat emojis, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not.
The goat emoji. You went like all out. You were like, yes, you're the goat.
I didn't know what else to put. So I put 2 goat emojis to just kind of seem like chill. And he was like,
I don't think the goat emoji is chill. I feel like that's like
looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh. But like, I couldn't
it's
think of
totally
anything.
good. No,
Yeah,
you were like you had the Lord's confidence in
yes,
you.
I was like,
sure.
okay. And I was like, I'm done. And he was like, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And I was like, not responding. Like, my work here's done.
Mhm.
And then he was like, how's OSU been? And then from then on out, we just like started talking. And what's crazy is at that time, like OSU wasn't really recruiting him. And I was, again, very prominent in just praying that if this was who the Lord had for me, that he would somehow make a way for Connor to come to OSU. And he completely exceeded my expectations in that. And so OSU like started recruiting him shortly after we had started dating. And it was fun. I got to like play a little part in it of like trying to get him here and recruit him here with them. So, but yeah, that, I don't know how else to describe our story, but like, it was a total God.
Oh my gosh, that was perfect. That was amazing. I absolutely loved hearing that. And it's just so cool how like your paths were definitely crossed before and just like how there are family connections and all the things. But I do love that, like, I love what you said. Like, obviously there's the cute and fun stuff about it, but like you prayed, like you surrendered. And then you were like, God, I need discernment, right? And then you're like, make a way because like this is what I want to do, but like I don't know how to do it. Like I just love how you were bold and you like took actionable steps, but you like had the Lord invested in the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely love that. And just, do you know when your wedding will be?
Yeah. So we're getting married in May 17th. So
oh my gosh, so soon.
Yep. Yep. So yeah. It's so exciting, but it's just crazy because
what's
the
like
wedding
the
and
one,
it's like basketball and just
so much. What's like the one wedding detail that you're like I know there's probably a lot of things that are like stressful, but what's like the one thing you're super excited about?
Well, I want to be a wedding planner, so I've like eaten up the wedding planning. Like I love it. So
this is your Super Bowl.
Yes, I'm like there are definitely aspects of it that are stressful, but I think I enjoy it a lot more than like a typical girl would. But I'm definitely just excited for like the little details that like I've worked, like our seating chart is like basketball themed.
Okay.
And like there's just so many like little basketball things like put in there. And so I'm just excited for like all the little personalized like details that me and my planner have worked really hard to like think of. And there's lots of pink. Pink's my favorite. So
me too.
I'm sure Connor will be like, but I'm just excited for all that stuff that I've definitely invested time in, and I love all the little details. So that's probably what I'm most excited about.
Well, I'm so excited for you, and I'm gonna have to keep up with that wedding, especially if like that's what you want to do as your career, because you know it's going to be absolutely insane and just decked out to the smallest details. So I cannot wait to seriously like see all those photos. And Connor will be okay because you just blame it on the wedding planner for all the pink, and then it's like, well, the wedding planner is you. So it all works out. But I would love to talk basketball because OSU has just absolutely been thriving this season in what has been a really competitive women's college basketball season. I feel like there's a new number one every single day. It's like absolutely crazy. But just with your basketball story, I know it probably hasn't looked like you thought it was going to look like, kind of like you alluded to when you came into OSU. And so I know you had mentioned to me off air that you have had 5 surgeries in the last 2.5 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like 2.5, 3 years. I could be like barely off, but it's pretty, yeah.
I think one is like, talk about it. So just what does the Lord put on your heart? And I know you have, a long story of just going through those injuries that you'd love to share. So maybe could you just start with the, just like, how did these injuries come about?
Yeah. So honestly, I was really blessed most of my life to not really ever endure anything physically super hard in the midst of basketball. I did tear my ACL my junior year of high school, and that like wrecked my world. I went through a whole identity crisis of just like, who am I without basketball? And that was definitely a big turning point for me in my faith, and just kind of like brought me to a point of like I had nowhere else to turn except the Lord. And as much as that sucked, I think it has helped me go through these 5 that I've dealt with. And so my freshman year was great. I was at a mid-major, which is where my coach now, who's at OSU, she was at that school. And so she got the job at OSU, and then she asked me to come with her. And so she's amazing, and like being at OSU has just been my dream. But my freshman year was great. nothing, no injuries. And then I did kind of suffer from plantar fasciitis in my foot. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like on the arch of your foot, and it's a ton of athletes have it. It's like pretty common. And mine was just so bad, like it kept not getting better. And so I literally ended up having to get surgery where they go in and like cut the plantar fascia and like shorten it to just hopefully help make it better. It's like 3% in the world have to get it. It's super rare. Yeah,
That's
it was like the
super
last
rare.
resort.
Oh my gosh.
I had done everything. I got that in July or June of like 2022. So like coming in to OSU. So I got that, had no problems after that. The surgery worked great. And then anyone who's an athlete knows it's not like in high school when you like get injured and then you just like come back. Like just the rehab and like the protocol to come back, it's so long. And so I was finally kind of in a place of like almost being fully back. And literally one day, my side just starts hurting like so bad. I don't know what it is. And I start like puking up blood and I'm like, what is going on? I really thought I was just like cramping maybe. It was actually Connor who was like, I hope you're not like your appendix isn't like rupturing. Sure enough. Yep. So I go and I have emergency surgery to get my appendix taken out. So then that just like sets me back. Not as bad as a big, surgery, but still it's like with your abdominal area. And so you
don't mess around with that.
Yes. Yeah. No. And so you got to strengthen your core, all that. So I do that. That was in like October of 2022. And then January 2023, I wake up one day and I have like the worst headache. My stomach is huge, not to like be but I literally looked like 9 months pregnant, like out of nowhere. I don't know if you've seen the movie Miracles from Heaven of like the little girl where her stomach is like
years ago. Oh my gosh. I was actually me and my family were the only people in the movie theater, not gonna lie. We were the only people.
Such a good movie.
We're in the back bawling our eyes out, like we're like we're the only people in here. But it was such a good movie. Yes. Okay, so sorry. So your stomach was like, oh my gosh.
Yes. And so I like go home and we're I'm going and seeing all these doctors. Nobody knows what's wrong with me. Like everyone's just like, I don't know. So come to find out it's my gallbladder. It's not working the right way. So I have to get emergency surgery, take that out. And so my sophomore year was just like full of kind of, I mean, I feel like every injury is pretty uncontrollable, but those were just like freak accidents. Like it's just organs. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
And so, I was like,
organs. That's not like an on the court thing.
No. And that's why like it was so bizarre to me. And so, and I will say with those injuries, I don't think I handled them the best that I could. I think I fell a lot into the trap of like feeling sorry for myself at that time. But so anyways, I come back now and I'm feeling good. And we are in summer workouts. First, I like break my nose one day. I like run into a girl, break my nose. So then like that wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, I ended up being fine.
Yeah, but, like I broke my nose.
It's like
emergency surgery.
And then 2 weeks later, I clip knees with a girl, and I just like immediately knew like I didn't think I tore something, but I was just like something's off. And obviously like I freak out and it took a little while to figure out like what it was because it was kind of a unique knee injury because I feel like most people you just tear something or you don't. So I broke off like cartilage in my knee and cartilage doesn't grow back. So we were kind of figuring out if I could, like some people can play without it and it's fine. And like I just think because the way my body is and my history with the knees, like I couldn't do anything and it would just like swell up. So I ended up getting microfracture surgery in November of 2023. And that's where they like go in and drill like holes in your bone to like try to promote the healing process and try to get cartilage to grow back. So I do that and then obviously miss like all of last year, and then I'm feeling good. And this summer, it was like September. I had made it all the way to September, and it was like literally like a week or two away from like being able to do everything. I literally just we're doing a drill. It's not contact. I go up for a layup, just come down, and like immediately, like I just knew like something was wrong. And again, I didn't really feel like I like tore something. It's such a weird feeling, but I knew like something. It was just like I knew in the pit of my stomach, like that's it, like I'm done. And again, it took a very long time to figure out what was wrong. And essentially it was that cartilage, this procedure we'd done last year. Whenever my knee like hyperextended on that layup, it broke off what had grown back. So then I was back to like having nothing. And at this point, like you can only do the microfracture surgery once. So I had to, the surgeon who had done my ACL and the microfracture referred me to a guy in Chicago who's the team physician for the Chicago Bulls and the White Sox. He did Lonzo Ball's surgery. Like he's big time.
Let's go.
So, yeah, I was like, okay, like surely he can fix me. So getting in to see him, you know, like I had to fly out there a couple times. It just took a really long time to actually do the surgery. But I had a cartilage transplant done in February. So I got a transplant from a donor of a person who has passed. And it was just a whole process to find like a match. And it's really sad, obviously, you know, but so yeah, I had that where they just go in and I literally get like someone else's cartilage put into my knee.
Wow.
And I'm about a month out from that surgery. So still on crutches and my brace, all that. But yeah, I mean, that is just kind of like the rundown of the craziness of all
That
of all
is so
all the
wow.
surgeries. Yeah.
You are so resilient. Like I can't even seriously, like I can't even fathom like the physical pain. Like the whole time you kept saying all these things, I'm like, emergency surgery, ouch, like the nose broken, like ouch, like I'd be freaking out, you know? Like, and then like drilling hole, like, oh my gosh, that is so painful, number one. But two, like I can't wait to hear about just like how the Lord has had a hand in it, because like there's no way that you go through all this and like are able to be like smiling and like, hey, like that's so hard. Okay. So I'd love to hear about all that. I just have a question about this most recent surgery. What's like the timeline from now, and like what is the, just because I literally don't know about a cartilage transplant, like what's the hope? Is that is it like, you know, from now on it's just you always gonna feel it off, or is it like no, this is like a full recovery, it might not be your cartilage, but it just the body recognizes it as yours?
Yeah, I mean, just like any transplant, you hope that it takes and you hope that it's successful. I mean, I've heard of people you know, getting a transplant and it doesn't take and it fails and it shrinks, you know. And so I definitely run a risk like choosing to do that. But I was honestly at I prayed about it a lot, but I also was just like, I was in so much pain every day that I was like, I'm willing to try this and just like go through the whole recovery and see and hope that it works, you know, and trust that, you know, God is going to take care of this and heal me. And so yeah, I will be on crutches for like 6 weeks, and then I'll do my progression to get off crutches. And then it's kind of just like a typical knee surgery. You just, you know, relearn how to walk and then run and then jump. And I will say I'm not, like, I'm done with basketball. I feel like that's kind of a given at this point. Like my body is done. But so I do think it'll be a little different recovering just for like normal life, but I do want to be really active and stuff. And so that was kind of the intention behind doing this, is I was like, I want to be able to go on a walk and like not feel like I'm dying and work out. And so hopefully this will help with that. They've told me like my knee's never going to be great. Like it's done. Like it's just not going to. And most people think that I'll probably have to get a knee replacement pretty young, like mid 30s, early 40s. But by doing this surgery, we're hoping to just like prolong that, and that this can help, you know, sustain whatever it is I want to do moving forward to be active and live my life. So, yeah, I mean, I always run the risk of it not working, but it was definitely just the best route for me to go in the state of life that I'm in since I'm so young. So yeah.
And God can do anything. So you may not never even need a knee replacement. You might be doing triathlons, okay? Exactly. Like you never know. So I really hope one day I get to see you doing some insane competition. Maybe you're on what's the show, American Ninja Warrior, like, and then you're
my gosh.
You know, like they get that like 30-second intro about like what they do. Like you'll have the most like dramatic, entertaining like story. It'd be so cool to see you flipping around. But no, seriously, like that is incredible. And just it's really cool too that there are doctors that are able to do those things and that just, you know, have the gift to be able to provide that opportunity. But just looking back and now hearing that story, what do you think I'm sure it's hard to pinpoint something, but what do you think one of the hardest parts of going through consecutive injuries was for you?
I would say just like the disappointment of like, and I've learned this now, but like the disappointment of what I thought like it was going to be. And I think honestly, like you just hear so many stories of like people having like that happy ending, and like, I just think like it's so discouraging, like when it happens and like, mainly my knee stuff, like, yes, that first sophomore year, like those surgeries sucked, but like it's different. Like a knee, you're gonna be out for a long time, and it's really hard to like come back and be the same that you were and like have that confidence and stuff. And so I just think I knew that coming back after my second knee surgery, like I was running a risk of like something going wrong, and I really fully believed that, like I was like, no, like God's gonna honor this. And like I just had this whole picture of how I thought like my senior year would go, and when it didn't go like that, like I was just like so discouraged and kind of just like, why? Like what was the point of just you do all this work to come back? And I was like, for what? Like me just to go do it all again, And so I just think that has been the hardest part, is obviously the questions and just like why. And I think there's pros to having gone through it, because I think I'm able to handle it really well, and I know what to expect. But I also think sometimes it sucks more. Like, exactly what's coming, and oh my gosh, like the months and months and months of rehab that you're going to have to do, and just how bad. I mean, going into surgery, I was just like, oh my gosh, I know this is going to hurt so bad when I wake up. And just like, you just know a lot more. And so I think that was probably just the hardest part for me, is it was just really discouraging, because I had a lot of hope, especially like coming into my senior year. And so I would say that was probably just the hardest part for me, was just the discouragement side of it. So
yeah, but it's so human to like have those expectations of like, it's my senior year, I'm coming back, like I'm gonna have this experience, and I'm gonna shoot this three, and it's gonna be sick. Like I'm sure you had like millions of memories of that coming through, and I think that's like a hard thing, because like we're supposed to dream and like have expectations in a sense, and like hopes and desires, but then it's also like, how do you not be like, God, like, like how do you not like put that on him and be like, why didn't you do this for me? Which is like a valid question too, but like there's still good in it. It's just like hard. It's like, how do you see it? Right. And so like, I know there's been so many times in my life when I've had, long-term expectations and something didn't go out, and it's just like that disappointment is just like, it's so heavy. So how did you lean on the Lord and lean on your faith when you felt that just like heaviness of, this wasn't the ending, and happy ever for basketball that I thought, but maybe it was something else? How did you lean on your faith through that?
Oh my gosh, I mean, I've that's all I've had. I mean, honestly, I've had so many people, especially this time around, just like reach out and be like, you're so strong, like you're so, like what you said, like you're so smiley and joyful, like even in the midst of all this. And I'm like, oh, that's not me. Like, that's not me. I promise it's not me. It's him through me, because I always think it's crazy. But my freshman year of college, I met my best friend. She was my roommate, and we had both torn our ACLs at like the same time our junior year, when we didn't know each other. Really weird. Total God thing. But we both like talked about how horrible it was. And I told her, I was like, if I ever tear or I ever hurt my knee again, like I'm done. I can't do that again. I can't go through that again. And obviously, I talked to her every day, and she told me, she was like, it's just crazy. Like, look at you. Like, you've done this. And she's like, it's so, like, I don't know how you do it. And I was like, it's not me. Like, it's literally not me. I promise you, because like I said, the feelings that I felt, like those were my human flesh feelings. But, the Lord is the one who's working through me. And I think that's what makes this situation so special, is it's something in my life that like I look back and I'm like, I don't know how I made it. I don't, like, I'm telling you this and I'm like reliving the surgeries and like the feelings, and I'm just like, I don't know how I made it. And I think that's just a testament to him. And I have a really good mentor here in Stillwater. I think she might have been on, Leslie Holiday.
Yes, we love Leslie.
That's my girl. Yes. So I met with her right after like I had gotten hurt, and we didn't really know like what was going to happen. And I was just kind of talking to her, and she was like, it's a really hard thing, but like you have to understand that just because God can do something doesn't mean he will. And just because if he doesn't mean that he's bad or he's not good. And she kind of like shared things with me in her life of like, this is how I thought something was going to go, and it didn't. And I was distraught, and then she's like, and then this came out of it. And you know, I've always like clung to Romans 8:28, that God works all things together for the good. And I think this past surgery has been like a chance for me to like put that to the test. Like, okay, you say that, like look at our situation, you know. And so I've just really had to rely on that, and that just because God can do something doesn't mean he will. And like I've had to truly like surrender the outcome and be like, if he does, great. If he doesn't, okay. Or like, then that's not his will for me. And I trust that whatever he allows to happen is for my good. You know, my mom told me early on in this process, like, you know, as much as it sucks, and, you know, I've gone through a lot of seasons of just pain. And I think that was like the hardest part, is I had just worked so hard that I was like, okay, like some fruit is going to come from this. And, you know, I told her like, it sucked. And she was like, you know, sometimes we have to remember that God's not concerned about our happiness. He's concerned about our holiness. And as much as I've, you know, hated some of this process, I think it has like made me a completely different person, and in reality made me like that much more holy. And you know, I just have to remind myself that God went through suffering too. Like, if we want to be more like Christ, he went through immense amount of suffering that's way worse than anything I could be going through. And so I've just kind of tried to remind myself of that. And you know, I think in this situation, as much as it's hurt, it's allowed me to experience other things that I wouldn't have experienced from like our team standpoint and the role that I have now. I wouldn't have done that if I was playing, you know? And so I just think the biggest thing for me is just truly leaning on him, and also looking back at ways that he's provided for me out of those hard times. And so, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but he's just, obviously he's been the one who's gotten me through it all. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I just love what you said about like holiness, because I think that's so real. And there's like been seasons of, I'm sure, a lot of people's lives where it's just like, this is just brutal. Like there's just, I don't see any light, right? But like that is like the Lord like refining you. And like you said, you're a totally different person. And it's funny that you said that to your friend about like, oh, if I ever tear my ACL again, like I'm done. And I had a similar-ish quote to myself. Literally, I said it out loud. I remember finishing my freshman year of college, and it was incredible. Like, we won the national championship. It was like all the highs in the world, but it was really hard. And I remember being like, oh, like, I'll never have to go through anything as hard as that. Like, that was got to be the hardest year of lacrosse. Like, that, like, from now on, like, now that I just, like, I know the drills, I understand how it works. Like, I got the vibe. Like, I understand it. Oh, like, nothing will be as hard. And not kidding, the next year was the hardest year of my entire career. Like, it was just like, it followed with like the hardest thing. But in that year is like where I saw like my entire self change. Like, that's like literally I was a different person to myself. And so I love how you explain that. I love the wisdom that your mom gave you in that. But I would love to just hear more about like your different role on the team, because I'm sure there are a lot of younger girls who might be in this role now as, you know, not playing on the court, or maybe someday someone will experience that season of their life when they are sidelined, and would love to just hear about how your role maybe shifted and what that looked like.
Yeah. So like I said, I felt like my sophomore year, I didn't do the best job of that. I definitely caved to like feeling sorry for myself and like being upset. I wouldn't say I was like a bad teammate or anything. I didn't embrace the role that I was in well enough in that moment. And so last year gave me like a good taste of it. I felt like I you know, was a good teammate and just like did what I could. But I think it was different because I was like, okay, like I'm gonna come back, you know, like I kind of like had myself in the back of my mind. And obviously this year, like, it's kind of different when you know that you're done. And I think a lot of people could just be like, oh, well, I'm done, like I'm never gonna play with these girls, like I'm never, you know, and kind of just take a back seat. And I really felt the Lord put on my heart, like at the beginning of the, like in the summer when our team had just got here, you know, that I knew the girls that we had brought in were really good, just like culture wise. And honestly, most of them are believers. And so I just felt the Lord put on my heart that I had like the chance to do something really special. And I referenced a lot like OU softball, even though I really don't like OU. OSU. But I love like what they're about and how outspoken they are about their faith. And I told them, you know, like in our first Bible study that we did, I was like, that could be us, you know? And I think the Lord honors when we're outspoken like that. And so, anyways, I had started off initially with that mindset, and I kind of slowed up on it once basketball started. But then once I got hurt, it was like the Lord just like handed me all this and was like, look at all this time you
Yeah.
look at all this time you have. And so
that thought I put in your head.
yeah, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so he put that on my heart really early on and then gave me the time to like accomplish it. And so my role has been, they joke that I'm like the team mom because I kind of am. Like I am kind of like our spokesperson off the court. I'm the one who like keeps us organized, tells them what they're gonna wear, what time they need to be there. Like I've obviously been with my head coach for a long time, so like any question about like how she might want something, like they ask me, which I think I would have had that role regardless, but I think I would have been less willing to do it because I would be like tired, and worried about myself. And so I've really bought into that. And then I like host our Bible studies, and I'm just kind of like our pinpoint for like reminding them like who we're doing this for and why we're doing it. And I like pray before the games, and just like my head coach jokes that I'm just like the best prayer and all this stuff. And I just think like I literally I wouldn't be like that if I had to go out and play, like I wouldn't be concerned about my prayer being the best that it can possibly be to like set our team up for success, because I would be like, oh my gosh, and so I just think it's crazy the ways that the Lord has worked in me and these roles, because I wouldn't be like that had I, been playing or worrying about myself. And, so I definitely just bought into that role. And I just definitely set myself up to pray and hope that when I leave, like these girls are like, Landry showed us Jesus, like above anything else. Like Landry showed us Jesus. She showed us how to like glorify him in this platform that we're given, and hopefully kind of just lay the foundation for what OSU women's basketball can be moving forward. They can be a OU kind of softball where everyone knows like, oh, those girls love Jesus, And so that's kind of like where my role has shifted, and like that's how I want to be remembered. Whereas if you asked me 2 years ago, it'd be like, I want everyone to say I'm like one of the best shooters they've ever seen, And I've just really felt the Lord convict me, and like that's awesome. And I don't want to take away from anyone who, has that gift, because it's a gift that the Lord's given us, but it's fleeting and it's, it's so temporary. And so I pray that like I'm making an eternal impact for the kingdom on these girls and the program. And that's ultimately like the biggest role that I could ever have. And so, I think that being hurt has given me that. So.
Yeah. Wow. Well, yes, you're right. Like that is the biggest gift for you, for your teammates and, girls that are maybe even recruits, wanting to come to this, wanting to come to OSU, see Jesus in you. And like you said, that's like the biggest deal, but also it can coexist with wanting to be the best shooter and being the best shooter. But I love how you said it. You said like the Lord gave me the time. And I think that was such a cool way for you to say it, because like then you were like, okay, now it's up to me. And like you stepped into that and hosted these girls, when maybe if you were playing and you had that senior season, like you would be so focused on, all the other things, which is like so okay. Like you're in season, but it's harder. So I just love how you set that up. But what you just said about, I hope OSU can be something like Oklahoma softball. Well, like you guys are. Like I have seen like videos of your teammates getting baptized by your head coach, Coach Hoyt. And like I would love to just hear more maybe about like your relationship with her, like like more deeper, and then also just like what has been going on your team specifically in a faith sense.
Oh my gosh. Well, Coach JC, I committed to her when I was like 16 years old at her previous school, UMKC. And so we joke, like I've just.
But you have good discernment. You
yes, I have good discernment. Yes.
When it comes to coaches, you have great discernment.
So it was like committing to her like that early, and everything was a total God thing. And then that's when I ended up tearing my ACL, and she's torn her ACL like 4 times. And so I think even just looking now, like how intentional God was in like giving me her in my life, and being able to have someone who understands kind of like what I'm going through. And, she's just been the best. And I admire the way that she's been outspoken about her faith. It's been really cool to see her, go from a mid-major to a high major, and just like the ways that she's evolved and grown each and every year. And I think what's really special about me and her is our relationship goes way deeper than just basketball. And I think that's kind of always what's drawn me to her is, yes, she's my basketball coach, but like I literally feel like she's a friend or like a sister to me, and has helped me through a lot of hard things in my life and always kind of pointed me back to the cross, whereas I don't think many basketball coaches do that or are really that concerned about you as a human being. You know, it's more like, what can you do for me on the court? Okay, thanks, next, you know? And so that's also played a big role in how I want to take on my role for the team, is because I want to help her and I want to do the best that I can to support her, do whatever she needs me to do. So yeah, she has just been, the thought of like not being with her anymore makes me sad. But she has definitely just played a huge role in my life and been a great mentor and leader for me. And, you know, I've definitely tried to remind her of that, of just the impact that she's making on not only me, but girls, you know, all over the world and for the kingdom. So I can't help but give her some credit in regards to just like where our team's at. But yeah, the baptism, like that will probably be the best memory I've ever had of just in college or college basketball. And what's crazy is I had told a lady that I was meeting with in the summer, she was like, let's set like some goals, you know, for senior year or whatever. And I said, like, I want girls on my team to get baptized. And literally, like, it happened. And I'll never forget just watching them. And it was like, I felt the Lord tell me, like, this is what it's about. Like, this is what it's always been about, you know? And not to take away from, like, wins and losses and all that. But, like, as a believer, like, that was my mission, was to bring people to Christ. And, you know, as much as some of those things suck or feel good, like, I felt the Lord tell me, like, this is what it's about. And I just, like, I was on such a high of just being like, how blessed am I to be on a team like this and you know, have girls who I'm witnessing, like, make the best decision that they could ever make. And so, I told them too, I was like, the Lord's going to honor us, like, being like this. And I can't help but think that's a huge part of why we've been super successful. I think just why we love one another so well, because I mean, we're probably one of the happiest teams literally in the country all the time. I can't, you know, it's the joy of the Lord. Like, he's in us. And it's been awesome to just see them get, you know, some fruits of their hard work that they've, you know, been doing for the Lord. And so it's awesome. I prayed, you know, last year we didn't have the best year, and JC was like, I'm going to get the right girls in. And I was like, okay. And I just like prayed and prayed and prayed. And I mean, the Lord exceeded every expectation I could have ever had for the team that we have. Not just our success on the court, like, it's been amazing, and I can't wait to see, you know, what he still has ahead for us, but to just see them, you know, truly rely on the Lord, each and every one of them, and, you know, glorify him the way that we have. It's been awesome.
So cool. And I bet those friendships too, like, those are going to last so long.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you guys have, like, I can't even like fathom, like, yes, it's like the bus rides are so fun, you know, and then you take it to that like deeper level it's definitely really incredible. But I just love like the intentionality that the Lord like allowed you to have with your coach, and like how she had like, I just love all the connecting the dots with all of that is so cool. And just thank you for sharing all that about your team, because I know I had seen that earlier in the year and I was like, oh my gosh, like, we got some more revivals going on around the country. It's like Ohio State, now we got OSU. Like, it's just awesome to see, and it's cool that you had a big part in that, and just had a big part in getting to enjoy that too. Like, for that to be one of your favorite memories, your favorite memory, you said, from all of college, is really special, because, you know, other people's might not be, you know, to that level of like faith-based. And I think that's really cool that you can point to that. But I would just love to ask you a little bit about like, okay, like next steps for someone, because like you are someone who has like faced these like, oh my gosh, like now I gotta, you know, I'm really turning to the Lord like in a time of need. So was there ever a Bible verse, I know you said a verse in Romans earlier, but like has there ever been like a Bible verse, a song, or maybe just like something that you like is like a, all right, I need to like get on it, that has really brought you out of maybe like a rut?
That's such a good question. I would definitely say like worship music is kind of my thing. Like, if I'm not listening to worship music, like, I'm not being the best that I can be, because I don't know, I've always been like that. Whatever I hear, like, it really affects how I go about my life. So gosh, there's been so many songs that I would say, but I think for me, I wouldn't really say it's like a verse, but I just well, kind of, you know, the verse in James where it's like consider it joy when you face many trials, because it's like giving you making your faith like have more perseverance. I would say I've really been thinking about that recently, because I just think about like, oh my gosh, like think about how strong my faith is getting. And I know I've had to remind myself, like, just when I overcome this, like, it doesn't just mean I'm done. And, you know, like, oh, I paid my dues. Like, no, I'm going to have more trials that I face throughout my life. It might look different because I won't be in basketball, but, you know, that every single thing that I've gone through is preparing me for that. And, honestly, just shaping me to be a better Christian. And I've had to really kind of surrender what I think is best for me, or what I think would be the best situation or wherever. And, trust that like the Lord is just creating me to be the best that I can be. And I've seen him exceed so many expectations in my life. Like I can't imagine what he has planned, you know? And, I've also kind of tried to remind myself that he wouldn't put me through anything that he didn't think I could go through. You know, I know that's like kind of cliche. People say
no,
sometimes.
it's like, so good. Like I have leaned on that before. And I love that you said that, because I will never forget. I had a really hard practice. I was during my sophomore year. And I just remember like feeling really down at practice. And I think one of my teammates noticed, and she wrote me like the sweetest card, got me a goodie bag, like a scrunchie I still use. Like, you never know how awesome those other things are. Yeah. And she wrote like that quote, like, the Lord won't give you anything you can't handle, you know? And I just like, I took a lot of peace in that as well. So I love that you said that, because at least for me, like, it might, you know, to some people it might feel like, oh, that's just on like Pinterest or like an Etsy thing. But it's like, no, like truly, like if the Lord is allowing this to come onto my life, like he knows that with him I can get through it. Exactly.
And, you know, I've kind of just rested in that. Like I've gotten through all these other things. I know this one will be no different. But I think honestly, probably the biggest point that I was trying to get at when I was being all over the place is that when I go through these things, like, it brings me to a place where I have nowhere else to turn, but ultimately, like, it gives me a great chance to share Jesus through these things. And I actually had a girl who was on, and I told you, I was like, my sophomore year, like, I don't really feel like I did the best that I could, you know, my situation. And I had a girl from my team that year. She was like a 5th year senior at the time. I saw her like a couple weeks ago on our senior day. And she was like, I just want you to know, like, because of the way you handled things and we're always so joyful, like, I've come to know Christ, like, because of you. And
wow,
it was crazy because it was like on senior day. And, you know, I ended up telling my best friend roommate, Hallie, I was like, that was just like confirmation, like the fact that it was on senior day. And like I was so random that she was there. Like, she's not from Oklahoma. Like, I hadn't seen her or talked to her in so long. And, you know, she was like, and it was just like, the Lord was like, I told you. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, that's what I remind myself of, is like, I never know why God is putting me through this, or, you know, but I've had to tell myself, if I would go through all those surgeries again just for her to come to know Christ, or just for one person to come to know Christ, you know? And so, I think that's definitely something that, like, it gets me going. Like, if I just tell myself, you know, like, at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's about, you know, surrendering to myself and doing what the Lord's called me to do, and that's follow him and bring people to know Christ. And so I would definitely say that's something that gets me, like, I just remind myself of that and I get back on track.
Yeah, that is so special. Yeah. I love that. And I love how you said, like, it was crazy that she was even there, you know, like, for her to have the boldness to come up and tell you. And probably what was a really hard senior day, like, I can imagine, like, the feelings that came along.
I was like 1 week out of surgery. I was a little like all of it. It was a little
right. Yes, definitely. Like, exactly. Like the state that you were at, number one, but then too, like, that just emotional pain. And so cool for the Lord to, like, bring you that, just like that warmth during that time. And now that's like something that you look back on. And I absolutely love it. But, and I also do want to go back to what you said about worship music, because I am someone too who, like, I would say I get very influenced by what I watch on TV, what I listen to. And so, like, whenever I'm feeling like uneasy, I'm like, worship music, like, no, like,
Mhm.
I just
Yeah.
need peace. And I think I love that you said that. But I would like to ask you one more question, and it does have to do with songs. So
Okay.
when you are, walking again and off the crutches and you're ready to go down the aisle, what song are you most excited to dance to at your wedding?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's such a good question. I love Justin Bieber. Like,
Yes,
love
come
him.
on.
So, and like everybody who knows me knows that. And so, I think probably just like any Justin Bieber song, because I just think everyone there is going to be like, oh, of course, here goes.
Like
the
what? Like
Justin
I'm
Bieber.
guessing if I had to guess, like the old school era. Like
Yes. Oh,
okay.
yeah. Like The Baby and like One Time, all those songs.
Oh, One Time is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, you have to do One Less Lonely Girl. You have
Oh,
to.
no, I
In a
asked her,
chair,
I was
like, lift
let's
it
do
up.
that for like our private last dance, and he was like, we're not doing that. Oh,
Yeah,
fine.
you can't do that one, but that's
I know.
awesome. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait to just like, I mean, if you're the wedding planner, you should get JB there and sing it for you. I mean, at this
Dang it.
point,
Ah.
right? Maybe someday. But man, Landry, thank you so much for just like being so open and talking about college and life and the Lord and all the things. And truly, like, I'm super excited to follow you and point people to you because this was such a joy for me.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that, I obeyed what I felt the Lord calling me to do and just sharing my story, because I know a lot of girls go through similar things, and I wish I would have had someone to kind of lean on in regards to just like dealing with any injury, especially that first one in high school. So I'm always open to being that for anyone, no matter who they are or where they're from.
Well, careful, your inbox is going to get blown
I know,
up.
I'll take it. I will take it, because I'll always point them and be like, I can tell you as much as I can, but ultimately, like, you're going to have to go to the Lord. And so, yeah, I'm super grateful that I got to share with you.
So good. Well, thank you so much. And we're cheering you guys on.